What's up? Hello, everyone. It popped up some kind of weird thing about not being live on my Facebook page. Let me go check that out right quick, see if there's a problem with that. Uh, yeah, I don't know why it didn't tell me before we went live, but whatever. Apparently, there is an issue.
Hmm.
Uh,
Facebook hates you.
well, I had to. Well, crap. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why it did that. It is definitely being weird. Let's see if this fixes it. Maybe it'll engage. If it doesn't, I may not have anybody here from. Well, it's acting like it did. It's acting like it just fixed the Facebook thing. So we'll see. See if it went over. No, I don't see it.
Well, I'm just glad I don't have you yelling in my ear anymore.
Did you get that figured out?
I switched something and was able to tame the audio.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, look at there. It is actually showing my live. So, all right. We'll just leave that be. Didn't want anybody that watches on Facebook to miss out. So there we go. Got that up and going.
It's evening of technical difficulties. We are.
Yeah, well, so far I haven't had too many problems. Uh, it's been uneventful. Well, I have been playing with my lights, so I've been doing that, uh, getting those ready for the parties that are coming up. Got a birthday here for too long, and then I got a graduation, then I got a retirement. I mean, we'll need to be jamming in here.
Hmm. Well, I've just been breaking everything I touch. So
Yeah, you've had a little bit of a run of bad luck lately. All right, so let's see who all's in here. What we got going on? What's up, Jack? How are you, sir? Miss Sharon back with us. Let's see what we got going on. A Super Steve. What about a Super Steve? I done missed something.
Hmm?
I'm talking about the action figure that you did. You get a Sasquatch. Dean says that you get bobbleheads so you can ask questions. I don't know if you might not get the right answer. That would be the thing.
you need one of those little toys that have like the pre-recorded things, and you hit the button and it just randomly spits out a
You
comment.
can just have it say it depends.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'll be. Well, it depends. Run a speed test. Check your belts.
That's what you make you like a magic 8 ball for laser engraving, where you shake it and it pops up. It pops up. Run a speed test. Check your belt. It depends.
Mine just would say the outcome doesn't look good.
Oh man, contact support.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, guys, if you're in here and you're watching, please do hit that like button. Somebody mentioned it down below. It does help, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The numbers. I don't know if it's the first of the year. I don't know if it's all this whole stock market and all this stuff that's going on or what. But yeah, the numbers have been fluctuating a little bit. So any kind of little thumbs up you could give us, that would definitely help make things look a little better anyway, until they start improving. Let's see what we got. Not see any questions yet. Anybody got questions?
Oh,
Uh,
so well, this is a question / statement.
Go on and break it down for them.
I've been breaking everything I touch. Or everything's been breaking. So I try to mix project videos with review videos and try to break them up that way. Well, the idea was I did the project video on the craft, the Atom Stack Craft. It's sitting up there, which also my other enclosure is sitting on the CNC machine right now because I've been shuffling things because I've been I've been running into issues. So the laser's working fine, but there's the special feature of the craft is the dual laser head and being able to change modes. Well, the button on the front works, but it doesn't light up with the different colors. And so I contacted Adam Stack, and they said, "Oh, sorry about that. We'll get one sent out." Last I know, that might show up Thursday. It's just been stuck in customs and export, import, and it's been taking a while. So that one got put on hold. I moved that around. The We Create Vision 40, whatever. We Create Vision 45 Pro came in, started testing it, and it was working okay. But then I noticed an issue with the cable inside the tray was doubling back on itself, and if it folded the wrong way, it would jam the head and reboot the machine and such. And the more I use it, the worse it's getting. So I contacted them and said, "Oh, hey," well, they said, "Hey, sorry, you've got a pre-production machine, and we may have put the wrong cable in there, so we're going to send you out the latest version of that's in the production machines." I'm like, "Okay." So now I'm going to wait for that. Meanwhile, I've been working with the Fox Alien CNC as well. Was trying to wrap some things up, and was noticing I had just a little bit of wiggle in the spindle itself. And so while I was trying to loosen that up to remove it and check it for any debris and make sure it was tight and straight and firm, the bolt snapped in the head. And I was able to finally extract it from here. I didn't think I was going to, but unfortunately uses a weird nut. It's a little 4 millimeter. It's an M4 by 70, and it's a 7 millimeter square nut that slides into there. So Amazon has some, might be here Tuesday. So every time I try to get ahead on some of these things, I'm actually getting further behind. So I'm actually kind of waiting on some parts. Now, the Fox Alien did come with a 65 millimeter mount. I did swap that out this afternoon. I put in my my Harbor Freight trim router, and I've been doing a few more tests with that. But it's been every time one you try to plan so much time for review, you hope to get it done within a time frame, and then when one breaks, you try to shift gears. And meanwhile, I'm trying to be creative with a few projects to do on the side. I've got my X-Tool P2 hooked up again. Wanted to do a couple things with that, but the frustration has set in really strong. Oh, and also the other night I came in from the shop and I broke my set of Bluetooth headphones. So that was
Don't forget about the heater.
Well, the heater's fixed now.
And yeah, but it was broke.
It was broke.
It started this whole everything broke on you this past week. It started I think.
That was broken a few. Yeah. And of course, this weekend, I get the part and it warms up. I run it for 2 hours that evening, and now it's been warm ever since. It's going to cool off again tomorrow when we get to continue this roller coaster spring we get up here in Minnesota. But yeah, so basically, I've been trying to keep up on some of the review stuff while also planning some content stuff or some project content. And I've just been spiraling in this frustration of everything I touch breaks. So that's why there hasn't been a video in a couple weeks, which is irritating because, as Clack says, views have been down anyway, and so the less you're putting out there, the worse the less likely you are to, when I do put videos out there, for people to see them, because the algorithm doesn't like you taking any breaks.
Yeah.
So
appreciate y'all. Even if you do have a bunch of broken machines, it doesn't care.
Yeah, well, and so the live stream here, this is kind of where sometimes you get a little behind the scenes baseball. I'll probably touch on the thing is each company is taking care of them, and if the machine works fine after that, I'll probably touch on it but not make a big deal of it. The concern is, does this happen to many machines down the road for other people? And that's just something we can't test.
I think so, and that's something though. Anybody that says, "Oh, well, I've got to know how your support is," or whatever the case may be, that stuff changes. It changes like the weather. So they may have the best support this week. Next week, something happened. They do a revamp of their department or their company, or like we've dealt with where companies do basically they just tear it down and build it back up. It's still the same company, but things change. So that's one of those things that we have very limited insight into how that works. Now, if we just know it's a nightmare or a disaster, that's one thing. But like you said, as long as they're getting you the parts and working with you on it, it's hard to fault them on that. Especially right. With us literally getting pre-production machines. That's like with the Cubico. I got the pre-production Cubico. Well, while I've got everything else in my shop that I'm working on this week, now I've got another the actual consumer Cubico has showed up, but I'm too busy with these other machines getting everything done. Luckily, I'm down right now to where I've got to do some finished work with the Cubico to compare the new one to the prototype, and I'm about to throw the towel in on this Mega. This has been a mega pain in the rear. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have got it to where I can use it to do things, but there is no way somebody's going to want to pay what this machine costs and then have to turn around and do the things that I'm having to do as far as custom macros for every material and that kind of thing. It's just mechanically, the machine works well. It's fast. It is very fast. But the software and even Lightburn compatibility, if it was 100% Lightburn compatible, like so far the We Create has been, I'd be fine with that. Because, I don't like their softwares anyway, but it's even got some, like, the Mega is where the We Create was in version 1 as far as Lightburn compatibility. That's where we're at with the Mega. Like, Lightburn compatibility is non-existent. You can move it, you can deploy files, but as far as autofocus and all that, it's a macro, and it's a macro that requires you to do math because you have to take 28, subtract the thickness of your material, set a Z offset, and create a macro. And that's not something that I want to do every time I use it. So I've been using the A70 a lot more on stuff this week because it has autofocus. Or either I haven't used the CO2 all week because, like, it's just this Mega is really irritating me. But now I got a big box I got to find somewhere to put because I did set the We Create up to do my cutting boards yesterday. Made myself a little jig and everything. And so, because the We Create actually does a really good job on bamboo. Yet the Rolly and the Algo laser, for some reason, they do great on bamboo. It's something to do with the
lies and witchcraft.
I'm just telling you. I mean, I this right here. There you go. But now, as I have said before, though, I do hundreds of these a year. So, and this is my third year doing them, or second. Yeah, about 2.5 years of doing these. And I done forgot what the inventory is on Amazon, but I know I order generally at least like a box, which I think they come like 12 to a box. I order at least like a box a month. So a lot of bamboo. And I just took these in the house and washed them. So. But yeah, TJ's asking, which UV laser would you get, a Haotian or a com marker? Been watching vids trying to decide. I can't really input as far as the Haotian machine goes. I've heard good things about them. The guy that builds them or that owns the company or whatever the case may be seems to be pretty knowledgeable. Folks like them, but all I've got any experience with is the com marker. The only grumble that I've had so far with the com marker is they should have put a red framing laser in there with it instead of having to use that little, paddle or using some type of way of being able to see the beam. I would have loved for there to have been a red, a visible, it could have been green. It could have been purple. I wouldn't care what color the laser was, but some type of visible light laser should have been piggybacking it so that you wouldn't have to use any kind of special means to frame, because precision framing is one thing that makes these type machines really nice. But the way that you have to use the paddle on this one, and I don't know if it's the same on the Haotian or not, but it does take away a little bit of the accuracy, in my opinion, because you're having to do so much and keep it still at the same time. So, how goes you on that, Steve?
Well, as part of my shuffle the past week-ish, I started moving that down in the basement workshop so it would stay cleaner and I could do some tests for some people have been asking me about a few different things, different materials. So wanted to try to source some of those or test some of those. But right now it's not 100% hooked up.
Yeah.
I need to transfer my Lightburn machine configuration to the machine down there and get it all plugged in. But yeah, as far as which one's better, my experiences with the com marker, it's my only experience with UV laser yet. And I would agree, probably one of my biggest complaints is just that the framing on there. Outside of that, I can't really speak to differences between this one and another one.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, my little small table back here got a redo because I'm still working with the We Create, and it's doing a good job. So I've kept it right here because I've got to have at least one machine capable of doing my bamboo cutting boards. And so until I get this Mega moved, I can do them in my Atom stacks, but I don't get those nice brown toasty results with an Atom stack like I do with the We Create machine. So I've got it set there. I'm going to continue to test it, eventually do the video once I've convinced that I found as many bugs as I can find. I did move my F1 Ultra over there, and my Monport 30 watt is, you can't see it, but it's on the other side of there under the little attic right there. I don't have it hooked up, but I do have it close by so I can get it out if I need it. But I'm fixing to have to do some more shuffling. Like I said, this Mega is probably fixing to get moved somewhere. And as far as the Monport, the 30 watt MOPA, I'm supposed to be having, and I'm thinking I'm in the same boat with you. I think it got stuck somewhere, as it was coming through customs. I'm supposed to have a 60 watt MOPA that's was supposed to be here, I think, this next coming up week. But we'll see how that goes. And if that shows up, then I probably won't be moving the 30 watt back over here. I'll be putting the 60 watt MOPA over there. Because once that 60 watt MOPA gets here, it's I don't know that I'm going to be using the 30 watt for anything. I might. You never know. But probably not. Not for a while anyway. So Trade Skillers is asking, says, been messing with my Omni. Not sure if it's a good starting point for material testing. Stainless, any suggestions for material testing? Figure out color marking stainless. Color marking stainless with the Omni is going to be a little, in my opinion, it's going to be harder than it would be with a MOPA, because part of what makes stainless change color is the heat. And with the Omni, you're not going to get as much heat. Now, you can mark stainless, and it marks it really smooth. But as far as the colors, I think it will do it. I've got some stuff over there, but that is okay. I'm already hurt some marketing people's feelings on this one. Color marking on stainless steel is an over advertised, over marketed gimmick, in my opinion, because there's so many variables. The thickness of the material, whether you have a fan running, whether you have exhaust going or you don't have exhaust going, it is touch and go. Trying to get the same results, the same color. With, like, say if you took a job that you were going to do some type of knife or whatever, and you were going to put this color engraving on it, and they wanted, like, say they ordered 20 today, and then next week they ordered 30. There's a really good chance you're going to have to redo your settings, like go through all that testing again to do that next set of 30. I can't get consistency. Maybe when I get the 60 watt MOPA, maybe I can. I'm not taking any kind of bulk color jobs because I'll be burnt a bunch of blanks. I've played with that and played with it. It takes so much time to find those perfect settings that I would have to charge so much for those jobs that it's just nobody's going to pay it. It would be fun to do. Like I did a Bluebird. First time I actually got it to where I could reproduce it, I did a little Bluebird, and it worked out pretty well. But there was so much work involved in that for a little 1-inch Bluebird that there's no way I can make a living or make any money doing those things. Because if, like I said, the least little bit of variable and your colors are going to be all mixed up. So what is your feelings on that, Steve? I know you've been playing around a lot with all the different machines. I'm gonna go grab some test material while I'm at.
Yeah, the problem with this one is it really takes you got to really work with some thicker stainless steel so that that the settings that it takes to kind of dial in the colors aren't it it's acting like a bigger heat sink, so it's going to kind of slowly hit those a little bit faster, or it's no, it's going to take it's going to move through them slower, so it's going to be easier to identify them. I haven't done a lot with the color. In my first test, I was able to kind of get some blacks and such. There is I think it's on under their blog. There's a on ComMarker's site. There is a guy who wrote a post on his experience with the color marking on there, and I can copy that. And at least he shares his kind of his initial settings for blue, red, and yellow. But again, it's also going to depend on kind of the thickness and the type of stainless steel. So it's something to start with. But yeah, it's one of those things that's very frustrating to dial in. When I've been playing with like the X Tool F1 and others, I'd get a couple of good tests, and then I'd try to set up a file that's more of a graphic, and then half the colors are coming through, half weren't. And then of course, as it heats up, if it's not a thicker piece of metal, it starts changing your settings and or warping the metal. So, but
Yeah,
check out that blog
even
post.
like I found that even like if you go from a thick line and it tapers down to a real thin line, that thin line, because the laser is moving so fast, the heat's going to be different in that little area, and you're going to get a totally different color. So it's just to me, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah. So if you're gonna do this, find a very consistent material you're gonna be working with. Be it the coins or the little placards or something, and stick with it. Because that's going to provide you your most consistency. But hopefully that blog post there talks about a little bit of the effect of the few different settings and such to play with, and some base settings to start with from.
This is a question for you. I think I know the answer. I think the answer is no, because it's not even the same controller. They tried going with a smart machine and competing with the P2 on the Mega. The Mega was intended to compete with the P2, and that's the reason it don't work with Lightburn.
So there's two different versions of there's the Reno, and then there's the Reno Pro. The Reno is kind of like your original K40. It's got a very basic laser controller that has I forget what, like Laser Whisperer or something like that. There's a laser DRW. There's a few softwares that work with it, and then there's maybe a few hacks to kind of make it work with Lightburn. The Reno Pro, though, is much more like a Ruida controller without being that. It's still a GRBL controller, but it's Lightburn compatible. So it's kind of like the second series of M40s that Monport had that were out of the box Lightburn compatible. I haven't any problems with that, but it doesn't have. They're not trying to put in all the bells and whistles of the Mega. So it's a manual focus. The air pump is just a little aquarium pump that's always on. There's no on or off. It just, you turn the machine on and it's on. There is no integrated chiller. That's a separate kind of tool. There's also no red dot positioning for or the beam alignment tool. It's not integrated to that. There's just a little hanging off the side LED spot that you can kind of adjust where it's at to do framing. All that being said, it just works. It doesn't. Yeah. You don't. And that's the problem with a lot of these benchtop smart lasers, is they got to develop the software behind them. And if they don't have that and they're growing it, they're going to have a lot of pains, and hopefully they eventually get it. Like X Tools developed XCS over the years. It's not bad. There are some things that I still miss from Lightburn, but they keep making it better. And we've seen the WeCreate software start out bad and get better. Atom Stack, I've only briefly played with theirs. I kind of feel the same boat. They're I forget what they call their software, but it's okay. It'll get you started, but once you're used to more advanced tools, it really feels like it's hindering. So part of my more recent advice has been, if you're trying to make the jump from a diode to a CO2 and you've been using Lightburn, possibly you might want to stay away from some of the smart lasers.
Yes, if it says smart desktop CO2 laser and you're a Lightburn fan, don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the Mon port. It's mostly working with their software. Now there are some hangups. It randomly does things that it shouldn't do. But there's some bugs in their software. All the camera, the autofocus, all of that works in their software. But I don't want to use their software. That's the problem with me. And I asked them, is it Lightburn compatible, when they asked me about taking it, and they said yes. And the compatibility must have got lost in translation. Mechanically, I like the machine. It is super fast. It's smooth. The way they built the cabinet, it does a good job keeping the odors in. I was doing some cedar in there, playing around with it on a job yesterday, which it didn't get the dark engrave that the customer wanted. So I had to take the cedar and plane it down and move it over to a diode to get that dark black engrave. But even the cedar, you couldn't smell it. Now, Brandy thought the shop was on fire because it was blowing so much smoke out through the vents and the wind was blowing back toward the house. But in their software, it kind of works. Air Assist is way underpowered. You do need to be very careful with this machine, because in that commercial where it shows the little kid running up there and going, "Dad, fire," and he's like, "No problem." Okay, that's BS. This thing, you've got to stay on top of this one. It will blaze you. It does have the flame suppression and all that, but the problem I got right now is when I powered mine on, it all of those fancy things throw an error. I had to disable them to get it to run. So I'm not impressed with the software side of the Mega so far. And I mean, I hate that because I like Monport. Monport, like the K40, yeah, like you said, it was very basic, very simple, but it worked. Like it worked. So I wish I'd have got like one of the bigger Monport like floor models or cabinet machines, because I got a buddy that's got one of those, loves it. But they're trying to compete with Adam with X-Tool with this batch engraving that, I sent you the results from my test on that, and it's buggy. I don't know why we don't just make a machine, like you said. It's simple, but it works. That's what I want. And Adam Stack's been delivering that. And I'll be honest with you, this machine has surprised me so far. It as far as the Lightburn compatibility and the luck I've had with mine. I know you got that cable that was bending the wrong way, but so far, it's this one's done really well for me. It does squeak still. I'm hoping that as it breaks in, the squeaking goes away, because at about 400 millimeters a second, it starts squeak, 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 squeak.
which in reality is 200 millimeters a second, because it's only going in one direction.
Oh no, in Lightburn it goes both.
Oh well.
Because I haven't ran it. I ran it in the WeCreate software in the very beginning just to test everything in their software, but I've been running it in Lightburn ever since.
Well, I've been testing mine with the WeCreate software because people who buy the WeCreate are probably going to be using the WeCreate software. So, they've definitely improved it over the 20 watt. The original one, they made a few improvements. I still haven't looked into how well the module comes off. The tray they made worse. Wireless, while it connects to a 5 gigahertz modern network, it won't. The software doesn't account for dynamic IPs. So you either have to go into your router and specify a fixed IP for it, or you're going to have to be resetting up the Wi-Fi every time it connects and reconnects, because the software just remembers the last IP it was on. So there's some things that they need to work on yet, because again, I feel like they're marketing this one to kind of the casual person who wants an all-in-one machine that might see it fitting in a craft room and such. Not the person who's maybe into lasers and is working with more powerful software and such. But yeah, they've made improvements. But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm a bit soured now because I got a broken cable. It's not even broken. It folded over wrong, and now it won't work right. And I'll be curious if if the cable's any different, or if that was just a line they gave me, I'm like, oh, that's just the old style cable. Like, okay.
Yeah, it
You know,
seems like maybe the cable just was trained the wrong way, or maybe maybe there's a difference in the way mine is wrapped or whatever, and yours. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they use silicone wire in yours and mine's not, because that's one thing I notice on some of them, like the Z probe on this Fox alien machine. It uses a stiffer wire, which if that wire's not right, it wants to push up on the probe and such. So, yeah, some of these small ways they pinch pennies really detract from the functionality of the machine, and so
Yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see when I get that replacement and how it goes. Yes, it's improved, but I still have a lot of things I don't like about it. Just overall design and functionality. So.
Yes, I don't like the one thing that I have found that in Lightburn with the new We Create, if you turn on frame with laser to use the blue dot and you hit the frame button, it acts as though it's executing it, but it just freezes the machine up. You have to reboot it. It's something the controller does not understand the command or something. So that's a big down. But yeah, I've played with it in their software some, and I'm going to use it.
I've had
I'm
it.
use it more, but I had to have it functional for it to stay where it's at for right now. So,
right. Well, I mean, I've had it in the We Create software. Just I don't know if it's losing its connection or not, but it'll finish the job, and the software just says still in progress, and then you got to reboot the machine to get it to reconnect to the software. So yeah, I'm seeing bugs, and this is why I wanted to make sure I tested it longer, because of how kind of things went with the last one. So
yeah, yeah.
There's one for you. Radu the Player. Haler, are you going to have more Lightbird videos coming up?
Yes, as I can. Between the machine thing that we've had going on for the past week or two, and that big pile of jobs going out over there, that's just the ones that I got to deliver this week. That big stack of stove covers over there. Between all of that and the machine testing and everything, I've struggled. I did the birdhouse video. That was about all I could do last week because I had to step away from some machines. I just got tired of just testing. So I started actually real world using the machines. So I figure, putting miles on a machine is putting miles on it. And if I can do a project and have fun while I'm putting miles on the machine, that's even better. Oh, I will tell you one thing that one of my grumbles with We Create so far is we put a 45 watt on a machine and we're using the same fan for exhaust that we use on a 20 watt machine. Because by itself, the fan in this 45 watt is subpar. Like it'll start smoking like it's on fire. So
yeah,
with my 4-inch assist, it does okay. But I need to go in there and just snatch that fan out and open that hole up a little bit bigger. And just run it off of an external fan because that fan is it's the same fan they used in the 20 watt. It ain't big enough.
Yeah, it was doing okay when I had it hooked up to one of those portable smoke purifiers, but even that got choked out. I haven't tried it with just the internal fan because now I have it moved over on the bench so I could hook it up to my external, the inline fan. But yeah, but I mean that's true of a lot of them. They're going with these smaller fans for whatever reason. I don't know.
I have no idea, but I wish they would learn either don't put a fan in there and just make a port and sell an external fan, or step up your fan game.
Yeah, I've been. That's the thing I've been toying with some project. I try to do a project video sometimes before the review video with the project. That's why you saw the one with the like the Atom Stack Craft. It's part of the testing is doing some real world work with it and such. But with that, I've also been looking at both, some Lightburn, also some XCS type stuff because I know people like getting tips in both. And sadly, while in the midst of my frustration with some of these machines, Carly came out yesterday and was like, "Hey, do you have some scissors or something to cut down these little?" I forget what they are. I called them knitting thingies. She had some name for them. but I was like, no, but I could probably cut you some. And so I had to redraw them in the software. And had I not been in kind of a rush and frustration, it would have been good to record that. So maybe I'll go back and do that, because there's some decent tips there on how to recreate an item. I've done that a little bit in the past with an airplane part, but yeah, I hope to do that again.
Yeah, Dave, I am not the machine. Let me put it this way: the machine does okay. I know there is a group of people, kind of like Steve said earlier. I know there's a group of people out there that are just wanting to get into lasers. They have no expectations because they've never had a laser. They want something that is simple, easy, and basically everything they need is like in one box. I think the We Create fits really well there. And it's not a terrible machine. It has features that I don't like that kind of prohibit me from going to it instead of going to one of the other machines. This machine is probably the most likable as far as I'm concerned of the We Create so far. But just like what Steve said, the way the machine's built makes framing, it makes material, putting material in and out, getting things in and out. It makes things a little more difficult because you're coming in through the top. So you're kind of like dropping it down in the bottom of a 5-gallon bucket or something. That makes it hard when you're, because the module's there kind of in the way. It works, you can do it, but me personally, I like it when the machine, like when I can reach straight into the machine and like the honeycomb is like right there. That's a little more convenient. So I'm not crazy about having to reach down in a bucket to put my material in there. That's not how I think lasers should be built. I know why they're doing it that way because of the form factor and the way that it goes up and down. I get that. Another thing with We Create machines that has bugged me is not being able to frame using the blue laser. Even if you could, which this one you can't use the blue laser to frame in light burn, but even if you could, you're looking straight down on top of the module, so you can't see where the blue laser is to frame. And that's one of the things that I see in that We Create user group more than anything. And I don't know why We Create hasn't like noticed this and adjusted yet, is people going, hey, look, this is what it looked like on the camera. It looked like it was lined up perfectly, but this is what came out. What did I do wrong? And I want to tell people, you didn't do anything wrong per se. You had too much confidence in the camera. The camera on this machine is fairly accurate, but it's not exact. No camera that I've used is exactly precise. Now they're pretty close. Some of them are really close. We Creates is really close because of the way that they raise the bed up and down. Most of my enclosures that I have built are really close. The Atom Stack Craft, it done a really good job. Even the Mega in their software is pretty accurate. But I would still frame or use a jig for anything that had to be exactly centered. Unless you're using the X-Tool S1, I will have to give them to it on that. That little probe on the X-Tool and that crosshair on the X-Tool S1 is dang accurate. Like it is accurate to the 10 power. And that's why my X-Tool S1 is still sitting right over there, is because it does that, and it does that really well, even without a camera. I hated on that machine for months because it didn't have a camera until I realized how to use that little probe and that crosshair. And now I love it. So I would look, if you like the We Create, the way that the 20 watt works, the 40 watt works better than the 20 watt did. So if you're happy with the 20 watt, that's a decision you need to make. But there are other machines out there that have advantages, in my opinion. So it's not a terrible machine. I mean, it's and like I said, I got a buddy of mine that loves them. He's got my 20 watt and my 40 watt at his shop. He sells cutting boards. His wife cuts hair for a living, and he's got like his own little craft caddy set up in the corner at her hair salon, and people buy stuff from his little caddy, and he makes it and replenishes it. He loves it. He's got 2 of them, loves it, but he's never never learned to light burn and got to using light burn, and I think that's why he loves that machine so much. Is because it's all he knows really. So, you know, I don't know what is your thoughts, Steve? Because you got the 20 watt also, right? And the 45.
I have the original 20. I don't have any experience with the 40-watt module for that older machine. So a lot of my complaints come with the base machine itself. But like as Clack said, if it's working well for you, you're comfortable with the software. The upgrade to the 40-watt module will allow you to cut a little bit more. You're probably not going to lose a whole lot of definition on your engravings unless you're doing some really high detailed photographic stuff on some solid substrate. So you're probably not going to be losing a whole lot. My concern would be, are you looking to buy a second machine or just upgrade the module? You know, that's a whole thing to consider, the cost of the module versus a second machine. And then if you're not tied to the software and you're not 100% happy with it, yeah, there are a lot of other options you might want to look at. That being said, if you're looking at a separate machine to augment your original 20, I would look at the 45 Pro. They have fixed some things on it. Now, hopefully once my cable is replaced, that's just a hiccup and I'll be able to move forward without any issues, because it was working decently for my initial test. But once that cable kind of horked itself up, then I'm kind of at a standstill, because that, short of drilling some holes and adding zip ties where I might not want them down the road, I can't really operate the machine as is. So I can't, you know, I'm kind of at a standstill as far as doing some more testing on that. But yeah, it in the short of it, if you're happy with the machine, how it's working, and you're happy with the software, and you have a need to maybe cut faster, I wouldn't expect it to cut too much thicker. That's, again, it kind of gets into marketing where they'll say it'll cut 12 millimeter thick material. Well, that's probably like really lightweight basswood or balsa wood, and or it's super slow that it is a fire hazard, B, unrealistic to get a project done at any time. So it's more about speed over additional capabilities.
Yeah, your engraving speed will go up a lot. Like this 45 watt, the speed at which you can travel and still effectively engrave, it's pretty high. It's pretty good. Now this one, like I said, mine does have a little bit of a like squeak, but I've checked it and nothing's rubbing, nothing's hitting or anything like that. I literally think it's just the belt resonating on the gantry, because they tightened the belt on this machine really, really tight. And I'm thinking it's just a little bit of like the squeaking is that, because you can actually feel the gantry when it moves, it makes that squeaking noise, and it's almost like it's resonating, almost like a drum or some type of musical instrument. So I don't think it's friction anywhere. I'm thinking it's the resonation from that belt.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine's been doing that too, and it's because of the enclosed nature of it. It's hard to really investigate when the machine's running.
Yeah, you got to trick it.
So it's hard to say. It doesn't seem to affect it, but it is kind of annoying.
It sounds like you got a bird. Like,
yeah,
treat.
Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah. But anyhow,
but I hadn't slung the belt off of it yet, all the way up to 500 millimeters a second, so that's good. But it is very tight. Like you can take that belt, reach back there, and kind of flick it, and it's like a guitar string. It's like, I mean, it is tight. ATX is asking, is EnclosureZilla downdraft a downdraft setup? Yes, it is. And there's a video on how I built it, how it works, and all that good stuff. It's kind of hard to see in there right now because I don't have any light. But yeah, that is it. It smells like cedar in there. I've been doing all that cedar this weekend. But yes, it does pull the exhaust down to the bottom of the enclosure and then out. Actually smelled pretty good. I should leave that open. Because this weekend I had a guy's dad passed away, and he had asked me a while back if I would if he's a little hobby, he does hobby woodworking, and he has some family members that have a sawmill, and so they had they had milled a tree and made some like basically like memorial type things for his dad. And he hit me up, and he's one of my customers that I've made a bunch of other stuff for. So he brought it over, and I helped him. He just kind of showed me and told me what he wanted, and we hooked him up and got his basically his display for his dad's remains because he had him cremated or whatever. Helped him get all that put together and done, and it was all cedar. So Enclosure Zilla over here was the only thing that could take this big box that he was wanting engraved that he had made. So that's where I did it at, because it was like I think it was an 8 by 12 by 12 box or something like that. So it was a pretty good sized box he'd made out of cedar.
I did that. I did that for my mom's urn. I made the urn itself and then engraved it. As a matter of fact, I have the test piece here. So this was actually a sketch she did of a pine tree that came across in some of her notes. Of course, it was done on lined paper, so I had to go in and really clean that up. But once I captured that, I was able to actually put that on the top of her urn using my old original, 60-watt eBay laser.
Big red.
It's it's a nice thing to be able to do that for people, as long as you know the material. It's usually easier if you're working with someone who built it themselves rather than, I know some people are like, I don't know, it could be a veneer, it could be plastic.
Yeah, no, this was a legit cedar, and he actually brought some extra in case we need to test. And I told him, I was like, dude, I got how much cedar I've got and how many logs I've got up there on the sawmill. Cedar's what I got started with when I got in the lasers, and so it's one of the most forgiving, especially because I was like, what kind of graphic is it? Is it like an image, or is it just like SVG type just graphic? And he's like, oh, it's just graphics. And I'm like, oh, we're good, because cedar's very forgiving. I mean, worst case, you have to run it again if you didn't do it dark enough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I knew what the settings were, dialed them in, and the only thing is I did the one piece. I did it on the CO2, and I didn't think about the fact that the CO2 was going to make it look much lighter than the diodes. So when we did the one piece on the CO2 and the rest of it on the diodes, he's like, how do we make that one as dark as those? And I'm like, we run it through the planer and do it again. He's like, that works. Because it was just literally he was wanting to make a wall sign and had some graphics he was wanting to put on it. So it was a piece of 3/4 inch thick cedar. So we ran it through the planer, knocked a 16th off of it, and started over.
Yeah,
magic eraser. Matter of fact, he didn't have a planer, so when he saw I had one, he went to checking it out, and I may have sold a planer while he was here.
Very useful tool. I actually broke open my benchtop jointer that I bought last fall. Has like a helical head with the carbide inserts. Man, that's much nicer than my old knife one. So
yeah, I'm gonna try this year, I think, to upgrade mine to a helical. I've got maybe 1 or 2 more sets of blades. I just didn't want to do it until I used up all my blades.
Yeah,
because that's just a waste to me to swap it out and then have a blade sitting over there.
News fan, we have no idea. They're being pretty tight-lipped on when they're going to announce that. So yeah, they've got their conference coming up in New York in I think it was June or July. So maybe, but I guess we'll just have to continue waiting for whatever they decide. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any inside information on that one.
Yeah, we asked about it, and they like, it's coming soon. That's all we can get them to say. I think they ran into a little more trouble than they thought. I think it turned out to be a little more complex than they had originally thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, but you never know.
Norbert's asking, saw a video about engraving the drinking glass with a blue diode and X-Tool F1. Could a 10 or 20 watt X-Tool D1 with rotary work? Absolutely. You do need to, add that binder, like, most people use like a black paint to get it to interact. But yeah, at that point, the blue laser will interact with paint and it'll do a bit of that. It'll frost it. You got to be careful with too much power. It'll start kind of micro fracturing it and such, but definitely possible. No different than, I did it on the S1 40 watt, did some engraving glass on there. So if you want to check out that video as far as some tips on that, you're obviously going to need to do your own tests with the D1. What I would do is, if you've got a Dollar Tree near you, go find, they've got some 5x7 picture frames for $1.25, and you get a nice chunk of glass that's super cheap that you can do some testing on before you. And they even have drinking glasses there, but it'll help you dial in your stuff without having to muck with the rotary and everything first. Get some glass settings, then figure out your rotary for the how you want to get that set up. So
yeah, I've got some videos. I think I've got one of the old Comgrow Z1 10 watt doing glass. But yeah, there's several videos on Steve's and my channels about doing glass. You'll just go to the videos and just type in glass. You should find multiples at each of us.
Jeffrey says he followed I don't know how to say y'all's and our all's suggestion and removed internal fan on the Ohmtech 60 watt, improved flow with the inline fan. Yeah, getting any obstructions out of there. If you've got a big enough fan down the pipe and you don't need to boost it, definitely worth removing that impediment. So glad it worked out.
Yeah, Glenn, that is the secret to the P2 and the P2S. If you plan on buying a P2 or P2S, know that you are going to be limited to XCS because it just doesn't work right in Lightburn. It never has. I mean, you can get some functionality, but those, like I said, those smart CO2s like that, they don't like Lightburn. They like their native software, XCS, or like this Monport software or whatever, but they do not like Lightburn. So I like my P2. It does a really good job. I don't have a P2S, but
I like I said, I hooked up my P2 the other day again. I've got it. I don't have any spare ports on my inline exhaust, so I hooked up one of the old school vent or smoke purifier things, and then just have the hose shoved out underneath the garage door. Since it's kind of that mild spring weather, I can do that now. And yeah, I hooked it up, ran a couple projects, and I went, oh man, this just works slick. Even in XCS. Now I did do the design work in Lightburn and then moved it over. Export as SVG, import into XCS, just because some of those tools are easier.
Yeah.
But
I'm still clumsy. I'm still clumsy designing in XCS. I'm not saying that it can't do it. They've added a lot of functionality to it.
Yeah,
but I don't use it enough, and I'm just clumsy in there. And it's just, especially when I'm doing something, a job, or I got jobs waiting. I ain't got time to be trying to learn a software, just to run one machine or two machines with. So I still do the same thing. I design in Lightburn and export.
Hey, Cody.
What's up, Cody?
They showed up.
Woohoo! Look at you go there, sir.
They showed up in time for me to break the mount on that's driving the.
Hey, at least you didn't break the bit.
I almost did because.
Oh wow! What did you do? Set like a 3/4 inch depth of cut?
No, this was something else. My tabs are just a little too shallow on it, and so when it went to finish that last pass, it broke loose.
It got a little carried away.
Luckily, I was able to hit the e-stop button, and the mini Jenny. Actually, no, the 1/8-inch downtown Jenny didn't break. So.
Which machine did that?
That's on the Fox Alien.
Oh, okay.
Now, in fairness, where did I put it? It did finish this is one of my bottle openers. And so after all that whole mess of needing to swap out, this is with the 1/4 inch bit, and it did this really, really quick. I actually cut this thing out in just under 4 minutes, all the pocketing.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's on cedar?
It's on cedar with a 1/4 inch downtown Jenny.
So did you do that with after you put the Bauer on there, or is that with the spindle?
No, this is with the 65 millimeter Harbor Freight trim router and a 1/4 inch bit. I tried running the 1/4 inch bit. Well, that was this. No, that wasn't this. I tried running a 1/4 inch bit on the original spindle
It just seems
and
like to me it ain't got enough torque.
It's no, I got some crazy chatter. That it's just between the spindle itself not being rigid enough and just getting too much deflection. I was trying to play around with speeds, but was like, okay, it was cutting fine with the 1/8 inch. So
yeah,
we switched back to that, but then bad things happened. But it's running well in the Bauer, and I'll get the parts to be able to swap it back again if I need to. But I think I'm just going to move ahead with the trim router. But this is one we might not have the best advice for you. But Travis is asking, wanting to learn CNC software and basics. I want to start with bare bones version of a 3018 CNC router due to cost, Dr. Bills, size, and tinkerability. What is good starter software to learn?
it's
a little tough because they kind of go from basic. You can get, what is it? Easel has their free version.
Easel's probably the simplest, but
yeah, and it'll get you going. But there will definitely be limitations with it. You can pay for their pro version, but I think it's $15 a month, maybe.
I don't recall.
Not 100% sure.
I outgrew it pretty quick.
Yeah, so there are a few other things out there.
Carbide. Carbide Create also, and I think you can use it with any machine. I have never tried using it with one of the others, but I saw somebody the other day saying that they use it on a smaller machine.
I think I played with that one briefly.
I've got it because that's what comes with my machine, but I've never tried to. And this was just, I was in a forum somewhere, and somebody was saying that they had used Carbide Create with their basic machine. So let me just set up.
Yeah, I think they have but I think I don't know that it's free. I think
okay, it may be the pro version. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's,
yeah,
you can try it for a little while and then you got to pay. So the crux of it is, with a lot of these, you can get started with their software. Like I said, Easel, the basic version of Easel is free, but it is a bit limited. Some of these others, you'll have like a 30-day trial, and then they generally have a monthly cost. The software that we're using, that with a lot of people over time, it's kind of like in the laser world, people migrate to Lightburn eventually. VCarve is probably the most popular software out there. They have a few different things. I think you can go back to, now my original thing was like Cut 2D, but VCarve and VCarve Pro, they have a desktop version. I think right now it's $300 for the basic desktop version, and that's a perpetual license. So you get like a half version upgrade. So like if you buy 10, you'll get 10.5.
It's $349 for VCarve.
Okay, $349. And then you can renew future updates depending on your version. It's like $100 and some. Now, if you do decide you want the pro version, they also kind of prorate that, so you can kind of add on and build up over time. But it's an upfront cost versus your month by month cost. Because if you pay for these others at $15 a month, after a couple of years, you're $300 in, and you're still renting the software. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah. Now it looks like if you're wanting really, really basic, Cut 2D is only $149, but that is really, really basic. Like that. I mean, you can design stuff and you can do stuff, but you're going to be limited. But
now, depending on
he said bare bones, so
right. And now, depending on how what your tolerance is for learning software, there are some free things out there if you dig around. Or Fusion, they have kind of the hobbyist version that has some limitations, but it'll let you do the design, and they have the CAM built in it too. You add the right post processor and it'll export files. So that would be a no cost version, but it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, learning that software to do the design work and then also do the CAM stuff. So you're biting off a lot with that one as well, but you're not necessarily having to pay for it if you do the kind of the free hobbyist part as well. So knowing that it might be a financial thing, maybe look at some of those free ones to at least dip your toe in, but maybe kind of keep an eye on the others, such as, VCarve as something that eventually, if you find yourself catching on with it, wanting to do more stuff, or maybe you've found a market for some of your stuff and can pay for it, it's a good way to get to kind of the mainstream software that a lot of people are using.
Yeah. Chris is saying I should get a new planer for retirement. The one I've got, as far as the hobby, garage shop model, the one I got is about the cream of the crop when it comes to that. Anything bigger than what I got, I'm gonna have to have a 220 plug, and it's gonna weigh 1,000 pounds. So I don't know that I'm going to be upgrading that. And I don't use it that much. This one's capable of doing 13-inch wide boards. And for the most part, what I do, that's plenty. In the rare instance that I get something that's bigger, wider than 13 inches, what I typically do is set it on that CNC over there and set up a flattening pass and just do it that way. Because I'm not doing anything that's like 20 foot long or anything like that. Most of the stuff that now used to, when I was running a sawmill, I ran that planer a lot. Like I would set it up out in the front of the shop out here and take a whole truckload of 2x4s or whatever and run through it, and then take the router and do round over on the wood and stuff like that. But I'm not milling and making my own lumber as much anymore. So this one works fine. That's the first time I've used the planer probably in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's one of the things that if you have the space to get it set up and leave it set up so it's there, you use it more. That's kind of where I'm at with my jointer and planer. I love them, but I always have to move things around to hook them up. So then I'm like,
yeah. And see, mine, you can see where mine's at under that table right there below the miter saw. It's not in the best place for like long things. But you got to keep in mind that table right there, I can release those 2 rollers on this side, and me and Brandy rolled it out of the way today, put those lights up. I can roll that thing by myself. It's got those really nice swivel casters on it. So if I need to do something long, I can move it around and do longer stuff, but it's under the bottom of that table so that it's out of the way. And then, like you said, if I do need it, I can use it. It's not the most convenient having it underneath there, but it's one of my least frequently used tools. And so if I had to bend over to use it, no big deal. If I really need to, I'll get me a stool. Look at there. See, Fluffy's trying to show it to you. It's like my little Vanna White robe. Wait a minute. She's been having a little trouble making that jump here lately. She's getting a little chunky. But now she's going up the steps.
Yeah.
Time to go to bed.
Both mine are, one of them's on like a miter saw stand so I can move it around and get it out of the way. But the other one's tucked underneath my outfeed table, my table saw. So they're not hard to move out. But actually my problem right now is my bag on my dust collector is kind of full, and I can't just go toss it in the chicken coop or anything. I got a harder time to get rid of that stuff. So,
well, see, I've got mine. That's another one of those benefits. My planer, because this DeWalt, it's basically got a shop vac built into it so that it sucks the chips up and blows them out. Mine goes up across the room, over, and then into a chip extractor, and then it blows it out through the wall. And then as it piles up out there, I just take the tractor and scoop it and take it up to the chicken pen, dump it. And I mean, that's why Steve's cracking about he can't just take his to the chicken pen. But that's what I do. I use it. I put it in the chicken pen and use it for compost. Let them compost it up for me. So it works.
Yeah. I just try to dump mine on just try to dump mine underneath the neighbor's lilacs that keep creeping into my yard, hoping it'll kill them off. So
if you use enough oak, it actually will. Get away from the pine and start using oak, because oak.
I use a pine.
Oak sawdust will mess it up. I learned that up at the sawmill.
Yeah, it's walnut's also pretty bad for a lot of things. So
yeah, I don't get my hands on that much walnut. I've done some, but I don't get that much. I know it'll make you sick if you meal too much of it. Don't wear a dust mask.
Yep.
It'll give you, like, you'll think you got pneumonia. Let's see what we got going on. Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to press those into production.
Hey, I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh. Those things, man, that's been all in my news feed. I told Brandy, I'm like, I'm so over this. Like everybody's doing it. And then
See, the problem is,
you did it for me. I was
yeah,
like,
the
oh my God.
problem is you said that, you know, the little brother in me kicked in going, oh, this is gonna annoy him.
Oh,
Yours came out pretty well though.
it did all right, I guess. I don't think the face really looked like me a whole lot. And I think the body was a little disproportionate, but whatever.
Yeah, I should have told it not so slender. I mean, yeah, no, I haven't seen a lot of those.
You probably put in there a short guy. that's what it did.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that'll die down in a little bit, but yeah, no, there's that's actually done through ChatGPT and it's free. Yep. You get 3 tries per day unless you pay for the pro version. So if anyone wants to make their own, go ahead and you can search for them. There's some instructions, I think, out on Yahoo News or something like that.
Yeah. Chris said, Steve breaking the machine before the bit. That would be a first. And he did. He did. He broke what it is. He grabbed a wrench with them big Sasquatch hands and just like spam and snapped it. I thought it was like the head bolt on a 57 Chevy, and it wasn't. It was like
loosening a bolt, not tightening.
Yeah, but when you tightened it, when you broke it, it was just kind of hanging in there until you went to reverse it. That's what happened.
Yeah, well,
that's my story.
I was tightening it down and the spindle was still loose. So, you know, something was wrong. But.
Yeah. Travis is saying he wants the 3018 to learn the mechanics, take new, used, or broken at this point, and prefer to build up. Yeah, Travis, if you go on like Marketplace, you might get lucky and find a 3018 or something similar for nothing. I mean, there's folks, a lot of these machines, people will buy them and, you know, basically let them sit in their garage for a year or two and then decide they don't want them, and they'll have a garage clean out. And sometimes you can see some pretty good deals. There's actually quite a few 150s on Marketplace right here around me here lately.
Yeah, people have been either they buy them and they realize they don't use them, or a lot of people lately have been even though 150 is good about offering upgrade paths, I've looked at it for mine to upgrade to the spindle and the Elite with the Masso controller. It's not a huge cost difference between just getting a whole new machine and, you know,
trying to maximize your resale on yours.
So yeah, but I'd love to have it, but right now it's not high priority for that. That being said, if there's anyone that wants to come close enough to me that I don't have to drive a lot, I have a Genmitsu what is it, the 5060? What is that?
Oh Lord, that's a big one. That's actually like 6050.
6050.
Yeah, that's 6050. Big boy feeds and speeds. I'll
make someone a pretty good deal on that one if they want to. It's I need to make room in the shop for other things, and I just between the 150 and these smaller ones, it's kind of in the middle. It's a nice machine, but it's kind of in the way.
It's roughly 32 inch work area, I think is what it is. It's 600 by 500 is what the work area is.
Yep.
And I will say that 6050, because that's what I had right before I bought the Shipoko. And that's when I decided I wanted the 4 foot by 4 foot Shipoko, because that 6050, I went from a 4040 to that 6050. And it was like, okay, now I've got a real CNC, because that thing was rigid. Now it's heavy. It's a two-man carry. But it is very rigid. It is built like a tank. So
Yep. But no, seriously, if someone's interested and can get close enough to me, I don't want to drive a long way.
What's your range? What's your range on that one? Would you drive an hour?
Yeah. Oh, an hour's nothing. Yeah, I'd drive an hour.
Okay.
But
so if you're within an hour,
it's a 2-man lift, so I gotta find someone who can help me get it into my van.
Do it one weekend when the kids are home.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do like I did. I get because I can't lift, especially some of these machines. I couldn't, even with a good back, I couldn't lift. But here lately, you know, I've only technically been cleared to like 45 pounds right now. So the other day we were moving some machines around, and so I had to get my wife and my daughter. I got them to like grab one side and kind of team lift on that side, and I grab the other side to move things around because I'm trying not to have to go back and see my back doctor again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also they told me to use my back and strengthen it because if I don't, then there's more risk of injury if it stays weak as opposed to strengthen it. So it's a balance. Basically, they're giving you situations to where if you screw your back up again, it's not their fault because you didn't do what they told you. You know what I mean? It's like you lifted too much or you didn't lift enough. It's like which way?
Yeah.
But yeah. R Ballard says that he's talking about easel is the easiest to use. And like I said, easel's where I started with my 4040 Pro. But I outgrew it quickly. But you can actually design files in Lightburn if you have Lightburn, export them as SVG, and bring them into easel and change it just like you can any other software.
David Allman's asking, how do you like the Acer 48 watt?
It's a powerful little laser. Like that module is stout. So far, ASMR, that ASMR and the S1 are the only two machines I've ever been around that if you said, hey, you can have interchangeable modules, so far those two, they did it right. The fact that I can go from that 48 watt module to that 10/1.2 or 10.2, whichever it is, 10.2, literally in like 2 minutes and not have to change out a bunch of stuff. That's awesome. I mean, that's really nice. The 48 watt is very powerful. The only thing, just like what we've talked about some of the other ones, is it wasn't a big deal, but they could have stepped up the fan like we've talked about. When you get to a 40 watt machine, you need like a 4-inch outlet and a 4-inch fan. That was the only thing is going from the 10 watt to the 40, the fan seemed to have a little more trouble keeping up with the smoke because you're generating so much more smoke in the same amount of time. But with the assist fan or the little box that they sent me, the little purifier, having that extra fan sucking the smoke to it, it kind of offset it. And so it worked out pretty well. But I still think all of these companies need to realize that we've went from a 10 watt module to a 40 watt module and we're using the same fan. I think that's a party foul. So,
well, I would argue it wasn't big enough for most of the smaller modules as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just need to up that fan port size a bit, and even if I just have a port that I can hook up to my inline fan. I don't even need most of those fans.
Yes, I don't necessarily need a fan, but if you're going to put one in there, put in a variable speed 4-inch. That would be awesome. That way I could, you could tune it. But I've got the same laser. They just sent it to me with the 48 instead of the dual one, and I would agree, pretty powerful. That's the one that came with the card on like 3mm foam. So when you use that to kind of calibrate your camera, it seemed to be really, really accurate for the typical 1/8-inch-ish to 1/4-inch-ish material that we work with. I was pretty happy with that. I have it just kind of sitting under my OhmTech right now, waiting for some other things. Just, as I mentioned earlier, my little headache of testing these other new machines has kind of gotten in the way of jumping back to some of my other projects, but it's still in my stable here to be used. So yeah, I forgot you've got the 48. You got the 48 right out the gate, so you haven't used the 10.2 or whatever.
Yeah, they asked me which one I wanted, and I said, just give me the 48. I told them, I said, I more of my stuff tends to be with cutting parts, so it's I'll be happier. I'll be happier with that one than the.
I'm fortunate because now I have both capabilities, and because once you upgrade to the 48 watt and you plug the bigger power supply in there, it's at that point it's just a module swap. So it's literally a hose, a plug, and that one little thumb screw. So.
Well, the happy medium between those two is the Craft with the 20 watt and the 1.5 IR. So I kind of feel like I'm not missing out in having a wider
No, because
format
that's
IR that
I
way.
will
But
say that craft 20 watt, that 20 watt craft performs like some of the older 30 watts. I don't know what they've done something different in my opinion with the modules now. And so the 20 watts cut a little better than what they used to on that machine.
Yep. Let's see what else here. Do you use any Harbor Freight tools? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. A lot of my mechanic tools are Harbor Freight. I don't have as many woodworking.
Yeah, the Icon, I think it's Icon from them. Some of their ratchets in that are okay. I've got a bunch of their small clamps. Their F-style clamps. They're super cheap. Yeah, if you put too much pressure on them, they'll start bending. But if you're making your joints right, you shouldn't need excessive clamping power. Another thing that I don't have, but I've heard really good reviews on, if you're into larger woodworking stuff, they have a 12-inch disc sander that people say is just a gem. But yeah, they've been kind of stepping up. If you get into their Hercules line of tools, that's kind of their more professional line of tools. And they're not bad. They've actually been, if you can occasionally find some gems in the Bauer series that they accidentally released under the Bauer, which is kind of their more budget line, that now they're discontinuing that and they're stepping up to a Hercules, and then they're doubling the price of it, even though I'm not sure the tool warrants that. But yeah, it's a little bit of you got to use a little bit of judgment on there. But like their tool cards, their U.S. General tool cards, in some cases those are better than the Husky ones at Home Depot as well. So it's a little bit of you gotta pick your do a little look into it. But
yeah, they've got a version of that big rolling around cart like the one I've got my S1 on. Matter of fact, I think it's the same cart. It just flies a different name. It has a different name stamp to it. But they have those. I've gotten, I've bought jacks there, jack stands. Some of my torque limiting bars that I use for my torque wrench or my impact wrench for working on the tractor and doing stuff like that came from there. A lot of my hand tools for stuff like that. The toolbox, I was going to buy a toolbox there, but I couldn't find one that I liked. And like this little table, I actually looked for this at Harbor Freight and was going to buy one. But then I went to Home Depot one day. Me and Klein were down there, and this is a little Husky. And I walked past it and was looking at it, and it was broke. And so the manager was like, "Hey, that one's broke, but if you want it, I'll make you a heck of a deal." And so I think I wound up paying like $75 for this. And the only thing that was wrong with it is where that little handle that you crank to raise it up and down, when they put it together, somebody didn't line it up. So when you let one side, it would only go down one side, not both sides at the same time. So I bought it, brought it home. Of course, I told Klein, I was like, I think I can fix this. So I flipped it upside down and he helped me. We took it apart and found that rod that fell out, put it in there, put it all back together, and it works. And he's like, oh my gosh. So now every time he decides he wants to buy something like that, he takes me with him. And the toolbox, I got the same kind of deal on the toolbox too, because I don't remember what it was. Either they lost a key to it or something. And so I got a deal on it. I'm a bargain hunter when I go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, because if there's something that's damaged or been brought back or something, man, if you get in there and negotiate with them, you can get some deals. Because this thing was like $300 and I got it for like 75. And now this it goes up and down. Like I can lower it, I can raise it. Now it's a little, raising it, you have to, if you got weight on it, you have to kind of bear down a little bit, but it actually works now.
It depends on your store. A lot of them, some of those things they seem to hold back and they sell to resellers that like secondhand. Because my local store, you'll never see anything like that out.
Really?
But yet you'll see a lot of people like in Facebook Marketplace that have a whole slew of Home Depot returns for sale. Just as a person
where they buy like the pallets or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, they're because like the clearance section and even just the display stuff here at my local store. Nah, you never see anything like that. So they I think they're working with some known people. So unfortunately, but yeah, when you can find those, or even just finding them on marketplace, that way you'll like you say, that's a $300 table. I've seen people selling them for half off or less, just because they are scratch and net return kind of thing. So
Yeah. Radu said wants to know if you'll trade that 6050 for a Ray 5.
I mean, I don't really need a Ray 5, but I'm telling you, the price would be pretty attractive. Because right now I'm more needing the space than I need the machine. So,
well, Chris, funny that you mentioned it. If I had room to keep the thing, Vevor, which I've worked with before on some Beehive stuff, that's actually a Vevor fan, which I bought the fan, but they've sent me some other stuff before. I've also got a Vevor hat press. I've got Vevor, all kinds of little Vevor stuff. They actually make a hydraulic like cart for your shop. And I almost ordered one the other day, but then I was like, where am I going to park it when I'm not using it? I'll be tripped over it because I'm like, I'm just out of space. I gotta have something. Also in my new shop, I do plan on putting me a like a hoist. I want to put me a chain hoist or some type of lift in, so that when I do bring something heavy back, if I don't want to have to use the tractor to lift it out of the back of the truck or the trailer or whatever, I can back into the shop and be able to, lift it up and then drive out from under it and set it down on the ground or on a pallet roller or something like that. But those are dreams that I have of my new shop if I ever get it built. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully I will.
Yep.
Bill's asking, what's your thoughts on the longer Ray 5 10-watt laser? It's a good basic machine. No bells and whistles, but it works. The one that I had didn't have limit switches, but I think they've added limit switches since I had the Ray 5. Have you had one lately?
The only longer machine I've had is that one 20-watt B1.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've had the 30-watt B1 and I've got the 40-watt B1 over there. And Longer makes some good machines. I said the Ray series are no frills. They're very basic, but they work like we talked about. I mean, you hook it to light burn and it works. So there you go. But I think mine was a 10-watt Ray 5 that I had, and mine didn't have limit switches at the time. I think they've added them, but mine didn't have them.
Yeah, if you're wanting to do detailed engravings, those 10 and smaller, even like that 6-watt, like that the Exmer P1S Pro or whatever, that 6-watt is, they're really nice for detailed engravings because they do have a smaller spot size. They're not going to excessively burn, so you just got to have time. So you put that 48-watt you went with the P3.
Yes, yeah, it's the P3. The P3 is the one that has the easy swap modules. I can't speak for the P2, but the P3 is easy to swap out, and so far the module runs really, really good. I've still got it. It's sitting right there under the CNC for the moment because I'm out of space. Like I said, I need to get some wood out of here and rearrange some stuff. Because other side of these steps right here, I've got some room, but that's where my wire welder and like all my welding tools, like all my clamps and vice grips and all that are in. It's an old red toolbox that my dad built back before I was born. And back when he used to work, he built bush hog, or which was called Continental Gin back then, but he used to build bush hog equipment. He was a welder and fabricator there. And so I've got his old toolbox that I restored that's got all my welding stuff in it over there. And I have moved most everything else out of the shop. But after the time that I spent to rehab that toolbox, I really don't want to put it outside and take a chance on it rusting again because I had to buy a sandblaster, and I mean it took me a while to rehab that thing. So I don't really want to put it outside right now. But it may come to that. Right now, my jack stands, my floor jack, and all that's under the front porch of the shop because I have nowhere to put stuff. It's getting bad.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got. Oh, I don't know if we hit the same one or not. Yeah, we hit the exact same one. What's the chances of that? I'll let you go first on this one.
Kent's asking any thoughts or recommendations on the Laser Tree 40 watt or 60 watt laser head that works with the X-Tool D1 Pro. I have no experience with Laser Tree, but I've heard a number of people using them. I believe you had one at one time. Was it like a 20 watt?
No, that was a 2 trees. I've had two trees. I've never had a laser tree. Laser tree, I think they only do like heads. Me personally, though, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love my X-Tool D1. That was the original laser that started everything with lasers for me. The price of like that 40 or 60 watt laser tree, I don't know how much it is, but the module is probably, let me see how much that costs. It's $5.99 for that laser tree module. I would probably go ahead and just contribute that towards, like, say, a longer B1 40 watt or something like that, and just upgrade, because you're going to get automatic air assist, linear rails, faster rapid moves with these newer machines. The D1 Pro was great. Like, it was a trendsetter. But now even the low end machines will outperform a D1 Pro as far as movements and stuff like that. And, drag chain setups. I mean, they've come a long way. The machines have. So I would look seriously at just buying a Atom Stack 40 watt. Like, what's the price on the A40 right now? Oh, because the new Atom Stack A40. Let's see what it is. 40 watt Pro's $919. So yeah, for $300 more, instead of just buying the module, you can get the whole machine with an air assist pump and everything. So I would shop around and just keep it's a 20 watt. If the D1 Pro still works, keep it for those times that you need another laser, or either, like I said, get on the marketplace and find somebody that wants to buy it. My 10 watt X-Tool D1 is hanging right there. Like, it is basically a museum piece at this point, because I've got an Algo laser MK2 20 watt up there that will smoke an X-Tool D1, like as far as speed and everything about it. The machines have just evolved a lot, and X-Tool makes good machines, but they just kind of let the D1 play itself out. So it didn't get any upgrades there toward the end.
Yep. Question from Radu the Impaler. Your Amazon page has a couple orderable sanders, any corded ones, no more batteries. Plus, one of the surgeries I'm recovering from is a detached tendon, so I need less vibration if there is such. I've got a recommendation. You might not like it.
I know what you're going to say. Festool.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
What was that other one that you said you found another one the other day? What was it?
The other day. I've had this for a couple years. It's from Merca. Surf Prep Pro also has a similar model of them. It's a corded random orbit. It does hook up to a dust extractor like Festool or some of the others, but it is $650. But it is very effective at sanding, and as far as vibrations, very little, if any. I did a lot of drywall sanding with this, as a matter of fact, and that was both on the wall. My arms are tired, and also any sort of vibration would be really hurting. So this is one of those kind of buy once, cry once kind of deals. If you're really doing a lot of sanding consistently, maybe worth investing in. But like I say, just warning you, it's not a cheap option. But from a functional making the hate sanding a little bit less and greatly reducing the vibrations. That's one I have been using I bought this early COVID. So I've had it for probably at least 3 years now. And I do really like it. So.
Not bored. Like I said, as far as a machine goes and doing stuff with it, my first 2 machines that I bought, and paid for with my own money, was an X-Tool D1 and an X-Tool D1 Pro. And those machines, like you said, I made my money back with the D1 10 watt, and then got so busy that I needed another machine. So I bought the 20 watt Pro just to have 2 machines running it all the time. It's a good machine, built like a tank. That 10 watt still works, but speed wise, it is not as fast as the Alpha MK2. Like the boards, the things that they've changed in the boards, like the white space scanning and stuff like that, is insanely fast these days. That Atom Stack Craft, the way that they throw that thing together, it's actually really fast. The ASMR, this P3, I think the P3 is the XY. Is it the Core XY? The Craft isn't. It's the ASMR that's the Core XY.
You're correct.
Yeah, the ASMR P3 is a Core XY machine. And for you guys that know the difference between them, Core XY machines are quick on like rapid movements, like from place to spot. Like it moves so fast that if you blink, you miss it moving from like one corner of the work area to the other. The acceleration speeds are just insane. So I'm not knocking the D1s are very capable. But before I spent $600 upgrading a D1 to try to make it a 40 watt, I would buy a purpose built 40 watt, because then you got 2 machines, unless you just want to sell one of them. Because it's always good to have an extra machine if you're doing this for a business, because nothing's worse than having one machine. And let's say you're working on a job and you got to have it done that week, and something goes down on your machine, you're stuck. Even if you have a 10 watt machine as opposed to a 20 watt machine kind of hanging on the wall or in a closet somewhere, that could be, very helpful to bail you out, to keep you from being late on that job or whatever. So I'm an advocate of having multiple machines when you can. Not everybody can, not everybody wants to, but it is helpful at times. But the D1 was built like a tank. It's a good machine. Like I said, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that since they designed the D1 and designed all the parts for the D1, there have been some major advancements in like automatic air assist has became like commonplace with these newer machines now.
So Radu, the less expensive option, and I've tried a number of different battery and corded sanders, but the less expensive version is the DeWalt 5-inch random orbit. I have that. It's okay. Things I don't like about it, it's got a weird dust extraction port. So if you want to hook it up to a vacuum, the only thing that I found that really works well is one of these Rockler adapters, unless you buy their specific, like Clack's got their specific vac and hose. I think that works. That one's okay. It's not as vibration free, but the ergonomics of it are much better than most of the others that I've tried out. Rigid and some even Ryobi, Black & Decker. I don't know that I've tried any. I can't even recall seeing some of the Milwaukee ones, but that one is decent. But I only use it very randomly when I can't use my Merca. So
my wife typically does not like me buying tools per se, because she's like, well, you've already got one of those. I used to run only battery operated DeWalts. Matter of fact, I got 2 DeWalt random orbitals sitting over there on the shelf that I rarely use unless my daughter's doing something out on the porch or something. But that thing right there, that's the DeWalt. Like it's specifically built for DeWalt tools for dust collection, and it's HEPA rated. That thing keeps so much dust out of the air, and I've had it for months. I just had to empty the bag this week, and I say empty the bag because I'm cheap, and it's got like it's not a cloth bag in it. It's like material, like it's built kind of like some of those little bags you get, like swag bags you get when you go places.
Yeah.
It's some kind of material. And I don't got any more of them. So I just undone it, took it out to the burn pile and emptied it. Now I got covered in dust, put it back in there, but it still works great. That thing was very expensive, considering it's basically a souped up shop vac with dual HEPA filters. It was very expensive, but it's tool activated, so you don't have to fool with it. When you turn that sander on, it automatically comes on, and it's got that anti-stop. It doesn't stop itself up. Like it has some kind of weird, like it sounds like it's coughing when it's running occasionally, but it kind of shutters the system and knocks the dust off of the bag or whatever. Does a good job though, and it's been a real lifesaver as far as my sinuses, because even though there's still some dust, it is immensely decreased how much dust I do have. So
yeah, even if you have like a small, a cheaper sander, definitely worth getting a shop vac adapter to it. There again, when your workshop can pay for upgrading tools, it's nice. And back when I was doing more of my foam flight stuff, and producing airplane kits, things like that, it made sense for me to purchase tools that were going to make my job easier, put less strain on myself, or do a better job in some way. And so that's where I kind of was upgrading some of these various tools. I ended up getting the Festool CT36. They charge a mint for them. The sales guy was nice. He knew he was making money. He threw in a box of bags with it for me. So
yeah, I took a picture of the bag so that I could order some, because I didn't realize I didn't have any. Because when I buy bags, typically, because this is a business, right? I mean, so I got to have things. So like I ordered a 4-pack of bags for my big shop vac that I use to clean up in here. I didn't realize it was a 4-pack of a 4-pack. So
nice.
I have a mountain of bags for my other shop vac, and like the little rigid that I use to clean up around the CNC, same thing. I think I've got like 30 bags for that thing, because I never pay attention when I order. I just like put it in. It's like $25, and I'm like, okay, send it. And then I get it, and it's like 16 bags. And I'm like, that'll last me 2 years, 3 years. So
yeah. Now a good budget but really nice dust collector is from the Fine brand. They're about the same price as some of those. DeWalt's probably a little bit cheaper, but like Harbor Freight came out with their actual like HEPA dust collector, as well as Rockler. And I've been running some of the Fine ones. I actually used it for a dust collection in the CNC machine, as well as a vacuum table as well, because they have a nice bypass feature where if the airflow through the hose is interrupted because like you get it stuck on something, it has a bypass to still cool the motor. So that's why you don't want to use typical shop vacs or vacuum tables or anything like that, because if they lose airflow through the hose, they're losing the air cooling on the motor, and they'll burn out really quick. But
they like these. They like these guys. $31.49 for 5 of them.
Yeah, but they last a while. As long as you're not doing like general shop cleanup with that.
This one's going to last twice as long as it would have, because I emptied it and blew it out with the air hose. And blew it out with the air hose. Let me go ahead and add them to the cart. But yeah, because one other day when I realized it was probably needed to be checked, and I opened the top, reached in there, and it was full. Mm-hmm. After I cleaned it, I took a picture of it so I'd know what model number it was, just to be sure. But yeah, but it works really well though. It does. Like Brandy has come in here and she tells people all the time that is one purchase that she was good with, because I used to I'd come out here and build stove covers, and for 2 or 3 days I would cough and cough and cough and cough, because you know how it is. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not all about. I've got the little dust mask that I would wear when I was actually sanding, but it's all that dust is everywhere. So after you get through sanding, you take that mask off and then you stir this dust up. You're still breathing it, maybe not as much, but like right now, there's a lot of dust in here. I have my little filter running until right before the live, but dust is not good for you at all.
Steve B is asking, in Lightburn, is there a way to copy just a piece of an object other than duplicating and then delete nodes? If they're joined as one vector, I don't know that you can copy. It's going to kind of grab the whole object.
You could duplicate it and use a Boolean to chop it.
Well, and that's what yeah. I mean, basically, you got to take the whole thing and then remove what you don't want. So,
yeah.
Using those Boolean tools, that's actually how I designed that piece that I was talking about earlier. I should have videoed, but both Boolean add and Boolean subtract work really well for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said he had a bunch of lasers. I think he's the one that was buying those storage units or something, wasn't he? There was somebody that kept buying storage units, and every time they would, it'd be slapped full of X-Tool stuff.
Yeah, that was a huge Travis.
I don't remember who that was. Like the first one they bought, it was like a P2 and an S1 and an Ultra, and then it was just like every time they bought one of those storage units, it was like lasers in there. Yeah, he said that was him.
Yeah. Well, I've done that in the past sometimes, and sometimes it's a gamble. Sometimes it's estate clearing. I actually went to an estate sale years ago because it was at a farmhouse and they had all sorts of stuff, and we came across some of these new in box old model airplane engines that were actually kind of valuable. People collected them. So I went and bought as many the first day, and then we went back later, I think the next day, and picked up some more. And I was through eBay and such. I was able to, I made some money back. Now I've done that on some other things where you buy a whole bundle because you want some of them and you figure you'll sell some of the rest off. And
you get stuck with them.
Sometimes you're like, anybody want these? Thrift store. So you never know. What's the best glue? Well, that depends. Actually,
somebody knows about your glue fetish you have.
I bought some more.
That does not surprise me. I'm gonna tell you, if there was a shop in the world called because there's like Batteries Plus or Batteries whatever. If there was like a glue shop and that's all they sold was glue, Steve would have like a VIP membership. So
this is more just of an experiment because I use a lot of CA glue for random things, including like the CNC, the painter's tape with the CA glue. So I thought I'd pick up one of the cheaper brands that I could find on Amazon. This Locked Hot.
Mm.
Here's the funny thing. Looks like a normal bottle of glue, right?
Yeah.
Super narrow.
That's for marketing purposes. When you look at it from the front, it looks like a bottle of Elmer's.
So I'm gonna see if this is worth anything for some of your just basic stuff. When you're using it for hold down tape on a CNC, you don't necessarily want to be using your expensive glue because it's just a very temporary thing. But I'm afraid these are gonna fall over, and that's a bad thing. With that's how they get clogged up quite a bit. I'm gonna have to glue a base onto it, but. Yeah, I know. I like my glues.
Steve's gonna be 3D printed a koozie for his glue.
No,
it's a glue. It'll be a gloozy instead of a koozie. It'll be a gloozy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. Since we're kind of getting caught up on comments, if we miss your question, go ahead and drop it in again. We sometimes jump ahead to keep caught up, but I do have something new to try. I've been sitting on this for a little bit and I feel bad, but I got this box of stuff from our buddy Sam over at Samcraft. And so everybody knows he's got his 3D print farm, and he sent me out a bunch of his various jigs. So like this is one for business cards, and then he's got this base plate, and you basically these just kind of lock them in so you could swap out jigs fairly easily. And this is meant to kind of bolt to the bottom of like the X-Tool F1 or the cob marker machines. And then I think if I I think these also fit into the bottom of the X-Tool F1 regular. So yeah, he sent a whole box of goodies for me to try out.
Look at you.
Of stuff. I haven't even opened up all of them yet, but some of them are like the drinkware jigs and then the regular fence kit, business cards, dog tags, all sorts of things. So I'm actually going to be using these in some upcoming videos of using those machines with some of the materials and different things that people have been asking me about. So Sam's been developing these, and if you don't have a 3D printer, but you got one of these machines, look for one of my videos in the future. But he's got some cool stuff that might make your life a little bit easier if you're doing repeated stuff. So
they should have put on your action figure that they did. It should have had like a bunch of glues in his pocket and stuff, like a little tool belt with glue around it. You know, that's what we need to do. I need to find somebody that does leather work and get them to make you like a tool belt that has like pouches for like little spots for CA glue and all the different glues.
All right.
Well, I sure hope Sam's got warranties on those pieces, because at the rate you've been breaking things this week, I figure you're going to break at least half of those.
All right. So since you said that, hold on. Let me get it.
What's he got up his sleeve here? So true. So true. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm gonna fall out my chair. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's got like 6 bottles of glue with that action figure. Chat GPT's got your number, bro.
Well, you got to give it the right prompts. And
oh my gosh.
So yeah, I told it on that one. The side the accessories need to be a CNC router, a laser engraver, 3D printer, logging camera, tripod, Minnesota Vikings hat, and many bottles of glue. So anyway,
priceless. That's priceless. That was a good one.
But but yeah, glue and stuff. Anyway, Kevin's asking, what do you think about the Atom Stack IR module? Thinking of the P1 for craft shows. The only IR module from Atom Stack I've got is the one that's in the craft, the dual one. They're all fairly similar in capabilities in that range. You know, they're 1.5 to 2 watt IR. I have the longer one that I put on my B1, and it did all right. I have a couple things to test with this one yet. Just once I get that sorted out, I'll be doing that. So you just got to remember it's a 2 watt IR. So doing big things at a craft show, not going to be very effective. But if you're doing like the dog tags, the keychains, it's probably not going to be quite as fast as like a Galvo style, but it should be as effective.
Yeah.
As far as its capabilities. So you look at any of the stuff we've done in the past with the X-Tool F1. Now that one has a little bit higher wattage, but it's going to be similar capabilities.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Christopher, I got a buddy of mine that makes those type of things. I guess I could get him to make him some, but yeah, I would love to see if he was a superhero. That's what he'd have on his belt. Would be a bunch of glue. Like he'd have like glue dispensers, like you know how Spider-Man shoots like webs at you. Steve would have like glue dispensers in his wrists that would squirt you with glue. That way, if he was a superhero, that would be his superpower. Would be he would be able to shoot glue across the room and like glue you to a wall or something. Oh,
there are worse powers to have, I guess.
Yeah. That's pretty good though. I like the fact that you had like 8 bottles of glue in that thing. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Tom, I'm kind of liking the 171 days too. The cool thing about it is tomorrow it will be 170 days. So, and that's including weekends and holidays. Not that we have that many holidays between. Ooh, not that there's many holidays between now and October, but I think there's one or two.
Well, there's one. There's Memorial Day next month.
Yeah.
And 4th of July. There's Juneteenth. Those are all federal holidays.
Yeah, we get that. We get.
I
that
still now according to one system at work, I still have a floating holiday to take. I tried to put it in a work day. It said you don't have one. So little email to HR going, "What's up?"
Yeah. Well, I've got, like I said, if you deduct the number of weekend days from that, the number's getting smaller. Like it's a little. I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm scared, but it's gonna be a big. That's gonna be a big change. This is a career and a job that I've been in for like 25 years, so it's gonna be a big change. I'm not gonna say I'm not a little anxious about it, but hopefully it'll work out. If not, I can go to Walmart and be a door greeter, or stand back and watch the automatic checkout or something. I guess I'll find something to do if I can't make a go at it out here. I think I'll be fine though. I'm going to ramp up my physical products, possibly, even if I have to start selling physical products and shipping them. Once I'm not going to work every day, and my wife's not going to work every day necessarily, or once I've got the free time, then I could start shipping things out and start doing physical products on Etsy and stuff. But I'm hoping I don't have to do that. And I've got a couple of customers that have told me that when I retire, they may want to start, getting me to make things for them in a retail capacity. So I think I'm gonna be good.
I think the trick there,
enough stuff to do.
I think the trick there is to not do customized items shipped. If you've got like standard items, so like Sam with his jigs, he keeps a certain amount of stock on hand. Me with my lenses, I keep a certain amount of stock on hand. It makes it a lot easier because everything's very consistent. And so an order comes in, like I got a couple orders to box up after this. It's going to take me like 5 minutes, and then I stick them on the mailbox. The post office, mailman picks them up the next day. Doesn't take me a lot to do that. It's when you get into customization of items, now you're dealing with, are they going to like it or not after you shipped it to them? Because you can get all the proofs you want, you can send photos and everything. This, you still run that risk that they're unhappy, and it's just so much difficult to deal with that. Or if it gets lost in shipping or damaged in shipping, it's so much easier to ship out something you have on hand and deal with the insurance afterwards. Then, oh, great, now I got to remake something. But
typically, like I said, even locally, it's like I said yesterday with that guy that brought that box by here. I felt better instead of trying to communicate through email about every aspect of this build. It was better for me to be able to design it, and have a picture of it on the screen using a Lightburn camera and going, "Hey, is this what you want it to look like?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that looks great." And then I'd hit send, and then we'd rotate it to the other side, and I'd be like, "All right, is this how you want it laid out?" And he's like, "Oh, it looks great." And I hit send. To me, that was a lot simpler than trying to go back and forth through email. Okay, how's this designed? Does this work? Because it wasn't like he's sending me a graphic and saying, "Hey, I want this 2 inches in size on this." Like, we had to basically, he had an idea of what he wanted, and we had to put it together and make it work. And so those things would be tough doing that through email. But like I said, a project I did for him, I wouldn't do for just any old body though, because like I said, he's a regular customer.
Yeah. Radu, that's a good thing, but unfortunately for me, I wake up and go to school to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
I never apparently I never left college. I've been going for to over 25 years.
Kent has an idea that if you were a superhero, you'd be called Glue Man. Be faster than CA with activator, more powerful than a gorilla, and able to merge wood projects with a single bottle. I mean, that sounds about right. I mean,
Eh,
that would be your intro.
I mean, Glue Man just sounds so
I
basic.
I mean, I was thinking Mr. Sticky, but whatever.
Hey, now,
Oh my gosh. Oh, mercy. I still got to do
Christopher
some more
says
invoice.
he did an autism event this weekend and made bolo cards for free. And when you're by yourself doing custom things, it gets overwhelming, even with two machines going. Yeah, and that's where any chance you can either call in a favor or hire a friend who can at least kind of do the basic conversations with people and say hey and try to draw people in while you might be setting that up, or to train them. I'm like, okay, here's how the machine works, here's how you enter the stuff, and if you have a template, just having that help. I don't care what you do, anytime you're at an event. I've done it for friends where they're setting up
Yeah.
for their various type of things. I've had others help me. It's a huge help when you can find that. So if you know you're going to make a little money, figure out what you can maybe pay your help a little bit. If nothing else, at least a good meal before, after, or during, or all three. But yeah, it makes a huge difference having someone else help you. But awesome on you that you did that event. I that's one thing I've reached out to our local shelters, that if they're doing an outdoor like they do like a 5K dog run or something for the local humane society, and unfortunately the weekends haven't always worked for me, but I try to reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to set up and offer custom pet tags, for if they donate to you, that I'd make them a tag or something like that. It's a good way to get out there and people see what you do, and it's a good way to help support programs that maybe are important to you.
Yeah, I think Christopher's one of my local folks that's here in Alabama, and I there was something he was going to send me, and I was going to share it, or he just send it to post it in the laser community page, Christopher. I'm pretty sure he was wanting me to. There was something he's wanting me to share, or some organization, or something. But dude, I get so many messages a day. It gets a little, talk about overwhelming. My notifications, like even at midnight, because I keep my notifications like for Etsy. I keep them to where I can hear it when I get a message, to try to, because with Etsy, if you don't respond, the quicker you respond, the better. The longer it takes you, the worse. Like they score you on that stuff. And so here lately, and I'm not, being hateful or anything, but here lately, I've had a lot of people messaging me for like totally non Etsy related stuff, like wanting help with their machines or whatever on Etsy. And it really, because it kind of messes me up, because they message me at like 11 o'clock, at 12 o'clock at night. And it's like, the next day before and something like that, I have to kind of put that off. And so next thing you know, it's over a day before I can respond. So if you ever have any questions that are not having to do with your Etsy order, please message me through Facebook or send me an email. Don't do it through Etsy, because
Yeah.
as soon as you send a message, they start to stopwatch, and the longer it takes me to respond, the worse it looks on my page, and it messes you up on Etsy.
Yeah. I mean, that we also have our laser engraving community group. It's a good place to post that other people are able to answer. Also on like if it's specific to, if we've done a video on it, hit us up with a comment on there, because YouTube puts like unresponded comments in our kind of our creator dashboard. Whereas, and I'll apologize, I know I try to be good about replying to emails, but between work emails and this workshop emails and such, occasionally I'll flag them, and I'll miss
They'll
replying to
get
them.
hit with a purge without realizing it.
And I apologize if you've reached out to me and I haven't gotten back to you that way. So, but yeah, definitely, if you got a question about your Etsy order, sure, go ahead and use Etsy. But if you got a question in general, use one of the other means. It just makes it easier for us to keep our metrics okay there on Etsy, and also give us maybe enough time. And plus, I hate how Etsy's messaging works. You can kind of attach photos, but not, and it's kind of messy. So
Yeah. Now, if it's about an Etsy order, it's best to message from Etsy. That way,
Yes.
the order shows up. Like you can see who the user is and that their order, whether whether there was a problem with payment or whatever. But yeah, it's like I said, it's been hectic here lately. It's been hectic. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's been hectic for the past 3 or 4 months. Things have gotten to the point to where like I've got to retire, or I'm gonna have to quit doing some of the stuff that I'm trying to do because I've gotten to where I'm just doing between the local stuff, the local business. I got a big order from May I got to work on now that I got to have done within the next, I don't know, 15 days or so. So between everything that I'm doing, it's getting hectic. It's getting busy. And one thing that you got to realize about me is yes, do I qualify as a content creator? Yes, I do. But I also have a business to run here locally and things that I have to do here locally as far as dealing with, business related things, customers, invoicing, delivery, drop offs, all that kind of stuff, making things. So, it's not just, I'm not just cracking out videos, and a lot of people have been asking here lately, well, how come you don't do as much as far as like business videos? And one reason is because how you run your business, you asked 100 people and you're going to get 99 different answers. And where you are, like your region, the people that you are around, it's going to be different. If you try to sell something in Alabama and you try to sell something in New York City, it's two different approaches. Like the people are different. The culture is different. You could say something here in Alabama and people would love you for it. You could go to New York and say the same thing and be taken as offensive. So business is there are some parallels. There's not a one size fits all type thing. But yeah, I do. Like I've got to come up with a plan to get me through to retirement and keep my sanity because it's been getting wild here lately. That's why like this past week I kind of was like, all right, I'm through testing machines this week. I'm doing a project, so and did it and it was fun. And that's the kind of stuff I enjoy, but I also enjoy, testing the machines to an extent until like Steve's having his week where he's breaking everything, that's where you're like, I really shouldn't be doing this. But then next week it's going to be like, oh, this machine's coming out. That's cool. So it's different. But
yeah, it's a balance because it's fun, but it's also frustrating, and also we try to Clack and I'll talk what we think are things that you as the audience would find valuable. To kind of just make it worth our time. And, so obviously a new machine with some new way of doing something is unique. We'd love to play with it and give you some insight onto it as well. But also we're seeing sometimes like a lot of people have been looking at portable machines, some of these smaller, more basic machines, like the Pixie and the P1 and there's another one that was in that mix.
Come out.
Yeah,
that was called.
Yeah, so it's kind of a balance of like, well, this is a very basic small machine. Is it something people are interested in? And it also, gives us more experience with different things to try to better answer. Like, hey, this might be what you're looking for versus that or the other thing. So, but yeah, it's also. I mean, I have a list of honeydews that I need to get to as well. I have my own projects I want to play with, and I mean, the project videos are more fun to make because it's creative. It's not laser specific, but yeah, I don't know. So we're trying not to inundate with it, but we have fun with it, and we are also with some of those smaller machines hopeful that we'll be able to be doing some more give backs to everyone.
Oh yeah,
so
I've got at least one machine that I'm going to be able to rehome. I'm going to do one of them. I'm going to rehome it locally probably because I didn't keep the box because I can't keep these boxes. You know what I mean? That's the big problem. Yeah. But one of them I have been able to keep the box and it's like in its original packaging. So I'm gonna pull it out, compare it to the other machine, maybe run a couple of jobs on it, see what they changed, if anything. So far, I've got it out and examined it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't seen any changes. I don't know where the changes are, but I haven't noticed them yet. But so that machine is going to be slightly used, maybe a little dusty, but somebody will get to win that one and take it home with them. So you guys that are members, be paying attention in the for a members live, because like I said, a lot of this stuff, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to get to where some of this stuff can go back to you guys. I will also be giving away a machine on October the 24th when we do the meet and greet here in Chilton County. I'm gonna be partnering with Cog Hill, May, and a host of other channels from our area that work together on stuff. And we're going to be having it at a local community college. We've got the rooms rented and everything set up, ready to go. And I plan to take a machine to that event. It's not going to be one of those to where the people that are there are even going to know that there's going to be a giveaway. And the reason I'm doing that is nothing against those folks, but I want the winner to be one of my folks from my channel or somebody that watched me prior to showing up at that event going, "Ooh, there's something free I can win." So I'm going to close the registration for the giveaway like a week out. So like you're going to have to register for the drawing a week in advance. And then the day of the meet and greet, I plan on doing like a live giveaway using the giveaway tool here from those people that that put in for it. I got to figure out how to do that though. But anyway, if they have to be live on their phone while we're there, I don't know how that's going to work. I got to figure all the logistics out on that, or either use one of those little things where I can drop a comma separated values in there and have it draw one that way. But yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. And then after October, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually thinking maybe this summer I could go see Sam up in Tennessee. So I'm thinking about taking a trip up to Gatlinburg. I don't like going to the beach. I got enough sand and sun here. I like going north when I go on vacation.
Well, I mean, you can only go mostly north anyway.
Yeah, I can't go too far. Well, I was going to say, a lot of people like to go down to the Gulf, and it's just hotter, more humid, and more sand. And that's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Greg said, I really enjoy when you share doing projects, nice mix to your channels. And that's what we try to do, Greg. We try to make it a balance because we like to have fun. We like to make projects. We like to try out new machines because, I mean, who wouldn't want to try out new machines? It's pretty cool. And we like to try to make a little bit of money along the way. So, yeah, there's a multifaceted operation we got going here.
Every time I go to make money, it seems like I'm giving more of it away. Because it's tax time here.
Don't be talking about. Don't even mention it. Don't mention it. Gosh,
it's all fun until you got to figure out that paperwork.
Yeah.
But
the government comes running with their hand out, like, all right.
But anyway, I think that's done for both of us for the year. So
yeah, I'm over that already. I wish you hadn't brought it up. I'd almost forgot about it.
Well, I'd help my oldest with his this weekend as well, so it brought back all the PTSD of doing my own.
Yeah.
So, but
well, guys, like I said, I it's just 2 hours and 8 minutes. I'd love to hang out with you guys all night, but it's been a long day.
Yeah, when are we doing the 24-hour stream?
Before we go, though, y'all know I've been trying to get ready and doing some renovations to my shop. So I got me my new little toy here. So we can look at that right there. Yeah. See them lights back yonder? Wait a minute, hang on, let me put my other camera on. Woo-hoo. See, nope. Can't see them. But yeah, so I got my lights to where now I can change the colors and all that kind of stuff, cool stuff. So I'm really I can do red, blue. Look at that right there. That's cool. But yeah, it's been and I like the orange. I've been running the orange light on there. Yeah, I know that's the chalk, isn't it? But but yeah, if you didn't see my video earlier where me and Fluffy was in here, oh, let me see if I can find it. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did, but I didn't save it on my. I didn't save it on here. Go check out my shorts. There's a video on there. You can see Fluffy. She was enjoying the music and the lights. But yeah, we're getting ready for the birthday bash and the retirement party. We may even have like some karaoke. I may let some of you guys join in and do some karaoke or something. Steve, you want to do some karaoke?
I don't know. I haven't gotten an invite yet. So
well, it's not official. I haven't figured out all the logistics of it yet. So we could just like have a live, and you could just like jump in and talk or do karaoke or something. So I don't know.
I thought it was a party at the Clack, and I'd had to do some driving.
Well, I mean, I was going to try to do virtual also because I don't know about you guys, but it'd get crowded in here real quick, like like real quick.
Some people call it crowded. Others people call it cozy.
Greg, I don't know. I'm not a morning person, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. My guess would be I'm gonna sleep late because I'm not a morning person. I'll stay up all night, but I'm not a morning person. So my guess is I'll probably sleep late. Which I should have done this morning.
I'm a night owl as well, but I can't sleep in very often unless I'm really hurting. So I usually just end up tired.
Well, see, the really hurting part's pretty easy for me nowadays. It takes me stretching until every day is getting better, but this back's still not where it needs to be. So,
yeah. Well, I've been making sure I've been getting back into my walking routine. So whenever you're ready for another round of Vegas, I want to make sure I've got even more stamina.
Well, Tom, the whole thing in a nutshell with that is that light. There's a beam right there that's bigger, so that light had to come down a little bit to do that. And if I hadn't have brought it down, there would have been slack in the wires, and the slack in the wires would have annoyed me more than that light being a little bit lower, because that light being lower is justified. So I can deal with that. But if there was slack in the cables and they were, because see, like right now they're evenly spaced, like the spacing is even. But if I had tried to avoid that beam right there, I would either have to bring it this way or bring it that way about 6 inches, and they would not be centered. So it was a lesser of evils at this point. Do I put one closer to the other, or do I leave slack in the cables, or do I just drop that one down a couple of inches? And I went with drop that one down a couple of inches. So these are little battles that go on in my head sometimes with my OCD. It was this to me was more bearable than the other options. So there we go. Big Heart says that the APA Personalization Expo is in Vegas, February 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I want to find me one good one to go to. That's gonna be my. And then I'm gonna get me one of those one wheels or something, so I ain't gotta walk as much.
I don't think they'll let you have those in the floors, but I mean the problem is, I mean, a lot of those others.
Hey, I was getting me one of them electric wheelchairs.
a lot of those others are a fraction of the size of CES, so you know, a little less walking in most of those than what we did on back in January. So
yeah, I still think all that walking we did that first night's what got me, because it got me sore, and then from that point it just got worse. That keeping up with the big Sasquatch legs, that 18-foot stride, I think that was part of my problem.
Hey, my watch tells me on average it's 36-inch.
Well, I think it was a combination of all that stuff got me. But anyway, guys, if you hadn't already, go hit the join button over there at the Laser Engraver community page. We also have the map to where everybody's at. So feel free to join that. And that way you can, what in the world is that? That way you can like let us know where you're at, so that when we do go places, if you're nearby, then we'll know. It's pretty cool. There's links to the map, and to be able to view the map as well as add yourself to the map should be in the description below. And if you haven't already, go check out Steve's page and hit the subscribe button, or mine, or whichever one, because we appreciate the subscribes when we can. I am currently at 39,919 subscribers. So I'm hoping within the next few days I can hit 40K. If I do, that would be awesome. That's going to be a big milestone for me. Also, my other channel, the Clakeys, is at 982 subscribers. I'm trying to get that one monetized or up to the 1,000 threshold so I can start getting my watch hours. That's more of the behind the scenes, family oriented donkey invading my space channel over there.
Yeah,
so.
You brought that one in. You lured it in.
Oh no, I was in we were sitting on the back porch and he come walking around the corner of the house, a big old donkey. He's like, what in the world?
I still call it. I'm pretty sure it was still staged. You're just trying to deflect from your own.
Yeah. No, Brandon, I was up trying to fix the fence and get him back in the fence when he somehow or another like made a loop and came back down in the yard and was headed to Brandy's flowers and she's trying to shoo him off of her flowers. It was funny. But anyway, but that's all I got, guys. Like, follow, subscribe. 171 days. All that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully if I stop breaking stuff, I'll get a video out again.
Maybe
but
so.
I do think so. I got enough with the Fox Alien with the original spindle. Now that I've swapped it over to the trim router, I'll be able to kind of get a first impressions out with that, and then hopefully some project videos. I've been putting out some shorts, kind of some of the quick engraves with some of the feed speeds, things like that, just kind of as little teasers there. So, but if people are interested in CNC content, certain projects, hit us up with some ideas. It's always great that we can get your, if it's something you're really wanting to see, it makes it even better. So otherwise, I'm going to hopefully stop breaking things, get through some of these, get some projects going. I do have, not this week, but the next week, I got a business trip. I got to go up northern Minnesota a little ways for middle of the week. So that's going to hold me back. But then we're coming up towards graduation. It'll hopefully free up some time. I'll get caught up one way or another.
Yeah. Well, maybe you quit tearing some stuff up. That's always
well, I'm not, I don't feel like I've been trying that hard to break things. I mean, I have been pushing the CNC a little bit. I haven't really done much to try to break these lasers. Anyway.
All right. Well, y'all guys have a good one. And if you, like I said, if you're around, ain't got nothing going on, next Sunday, same time, same channel, we'll be here. So till then,
see you next week.